AITA for saying my in-laws treat me like a live-in maid and want me to move out. I and my husband am live with his parents. His father had some health issues and needed some care, and we agreed to move in to help out. Phil is generally doing better now, but there are still a few things he can't do anymore that my husband does now instead. We've discussed moving out, but my in-laws are very resistant to the idea, stating that there's plenty of room here and they don't know what they'd do without us, etc. While we don't pay his parents to live here, we pay for groceries for everyone and several household bills. The house is mortgage-free, and I also do all the household cleaning and cooking. I arrange and take all their pets to their veterinary appointments too. I do work from home, so this is easier for me, and I'm able to be flexible. We also pay half of any house modifications or upgrades, as it'll be your house one day. Recently, I have begun to feel resentful of the fact that once they are all done with work, they can come home and relax while I finish work and have to cook and clean and have no help. On the weekends, I spend half the day cleaning the house while they do what they want. This all came to a head last week. I was really unwell. I felt the worst I've ever felt and wanted nothing more than to sleep. However, once it got around to dinner time, I was woken up by my MIL to ask when I was getting up to make dinner. I didn't want to cause an argument, so I just got up and made dinner for them. But as I was in the kitchen struggling not to pass out, the three of them sat watching a movie, waiting for me to bring in their food. I didn't say anything at first. I waited until my husband and I were alone to bring up my concerns about the lack of help. My husband apologized and offered to help more, which I accepted. But the next day was an exact repeat. I had to drag myself out of bed to cook, and once I'd brung in their food, my MIL said, "Oh, you look truly awful. Poor you. Oh, by the way, later, would you mind giving everywhere an extra clean? I don't want to get whatever you have." At which point I accused them of treating me like a live-in maid and not caring about me outside of the services I provide for them. I pointed out that I wouldn't be in the communal areas if I hadn't been dragged out to cook and that they could have handled one meal themselves. My husband sat there in silence. He thinks I should have brought it up more carefully at a time when I wasn't so emotional. I agree that I probably should have, but I was sick and stressed. I want to move out, but my husband and in-laws are still against it. Nothing has changed with what they expect from me. I got no apology, just silent treatment from MIL for a couple of days. So, am I the arsehole? Relevant comments. OOP clarifies quite a few things in this comment. Thank you for all the comments. This is my first post, so I'm not sure if this is the best way to address some of the questions, but here we go. It didn't start off with me doing everything. Before we moved in with my in-laws, my husband and I split everything equally, and that worked great. Once we moved here, I picked up a bunch of the household chores because I work from home and I'm here. It just made sense. Slowly, over time, there's just been something added here and there, and that has snowballed into the current situation. I have stood up for myself a few times, but it's an incredibly difficult situation. I'm very aware this is not my house, they are not my parents, and the things I would say to my own parents are not the same as what I feel I could say to his. I moved across the country before we got married. None of my friends are here. Most of my closest friends are my husband's friends, wives, etc. I don't have any family nearby. I've always felt as though if I pushed too hard, everyone would be against me. And I didn't realize until now how toxic an environment that is. The inheritance of the house isn't something I want or need. This was never supposed to be a long-term thing, and I guess I've just felt pressured to contribute to certain things involving the house because we do live here, and my husband will get the house one day. He's an only child. Overall, it's just been very eye-opening to realize maybe I'm not being as silly as I'm often made to think. All the little things spiral into one big mess, and my husband should be sticking up for me, not contributing to the problem. I've tried talking to him about things several times, and he'll be helpful for a couple of days before resorting back to Mummy's Little Prince. I know I've been needing to get out for a while, and I think this is just the push I needed to make such a massive life decision. Thanks, Reddit. What exactly is it that your husband does that your Phil can't do? At this point, I'd say he's recovered enough that he should be able to do most things. But it's mostly walking his dogs, anything involving any sort of lifting. There's nothing that couldn't be done by outside sources if we were to leave. Update in comments. I'm not really sure how to go about updating, but I guess this is as good as any. Firstly, thank you to everyone who reached out. I haven't been able to get back to everyone, but I did read every message. Now for the part you all want. After making this post, I started putting my wages into my own bank account. I removed all of my savings from our joint savings account and transferred everything from my own safety account, just in case. This turned out to be the best decision because I found out I was pregnant roughly 2 weeks after this post. I'd been told at 15 that, due to some medical conditions, I'd never be able to get pregnant naturally, so it was a complete shock. Once I had a scan to check that everything was okay, Thankfully it was. We told my in-laws, and this is what gave me the final shove I needed. Immediately names were being thrown around, and my MIL started talking about reducing her hours to part-time or early retirement so she could be around to raise the baby. This rubbed me completely the wrong way. I didn't want anyone else raising my baby. Colors for the nursery, themes, etc. were all being discussed constantly, but never with me or my opinions taken into consideration. And within a week, I felt as though I was just an incubator. The final straw happened when myself, my husband's cousin, and MIL went shopping. I had been looking at the different kinds of breast pumps before being told that I would be bottle feeding, so everyone could help out. I didn't want to cause a scene in the middle of the shop, so I moved on to outfits, but everything I picked up or looked at was either the wrong color, style, or something. I'd picked out one outfit, which would be my first baby purchase, and MIL snatched it out of my hands before I could pay, telling me that it was the wrong sort of outfit. It wasn't gender neutral enough, and if the baby is a boy like we're hoping, then it's far too feminine. I didn't need to be told what I could and couldn't dress my own child in, nor did I appreciate the suggestion that they would all prefer a boy, let alone being told how I would be feeding my child. So I left. I tried talking to my husband on 3 separate occasions, and he either made excuses or blew me off entirely. I couldn't handle it anymore. I packed my bags and went to stay with my sister for a week. My husband called once and asked me to go home. Once, I made it clear that I wouldn't be returning to live in that house, and that I would raise the baby on my own if he didn't want to leave, but I would not allow my child to be raised in such a toxic environment. As a big surprise to no one, he stayed put. After that, I got spammed with texts in the family group chat, but I left and deleted them all. I've started the divorce process, and hopefully, as I've saved every disgusting message from either my ex or his family about both myself and my baby, they won't get any form of custody. Although, since I announced the gender, they've all gone quite silent. I now have a small, 3-bedroom house. I'm only renting it for now while I wait for the divorce to finalize, but it's plenty big enough for the 2 of us. My daughter will grow up surrounded by my family and plenty of cousins to play with. The house is pretty bare at the moment, as I only got the keys a couple of days ago, but I have time before she gets here to make sure everything is ready. Thank you again for all your kind words. The situation didn't play out how I'd hoped, but I can't help feeling like it's for the best. Thank you for watching the video.